what things are you hoping to see from COP26 that would make you positive about our future as a planet, keeping below two degrees warming as the aim, and the role of startups within that?
Well, I think I can say what I think. I think and this goes to a point I think Nicholas made. I'd actually like to see some near-term commitments made and near-term things happening. I think it's incredibly good that people are setting 2050 targets. I think it wasn't so well received in certain areas of the press, but I think it was great that India set a 2070 target, even if the 2070 is even better if the 2070 target is all greenhouse gases, because it's better to have some target than not. But actually the most impressive thing coming out of India was the desire to have 500 gigawatts of renewables up and running by 2030. This would be installing as much renewable power as we have in the UK every single year from now until the end of the decade. That's something that's near term. It's potentially doable if you can actually get enough kit and solve some of the logistical issues. It's possible to get it financed, and it would see India go from what I think is sort of low double-digit share of renewables to potentially 50%. So things like that, which are actually more near-term commitments to actually spend money, install things, decarbonize, do something sort of practical and useful in the near term. I'd like to see more and more of that. And I'd like to see more of that coming out of the US and China. It's potentially unlikely with China, especially right now, but I'd like to see it. And I would like more to be done in the US. I think there's a lot is spoken about, but the CO2 output per capita in the US is almost twice what it is in Europe. It's a very, very energy hungry nation. And I personally would like to see more happen there soon.
I echo Dennis's points. Short-term or near-term goals are really important, but I'd also like to see near-term strategy. I think one of the things that we are quite good at doing is setting a goal and saying, oh, would it be great in 2050 to be net zero? How? And what is the strategy around the government funding to get there? What is the technologies that they're going to be backing? And what opportunities are there for startups and entrepreneurs to then start looking at attempting to attack those technological problems? I think strategy is really important rather than just a goal some distance in the future.
Nick, do you have any hopes for the end of COP26?
Yeah. So actually, the commitments so far from COP26 get us to about 1.8 degrees Celsius, which is modeled. So it's the first time ever that we've been under 2 degrees Celsius, which is good news. But there's always more to do. I mean, the climate problem is a team sport. It's not an individual sport. And what I saw from COP26 were a lot of countries announcing their own goals. But, it was like 10 years ago when all the developed countries came together and said, we're gonna contribute 100 billion per year to support all these developing countries. And, 12 years later, we're still not able to match that promise. We're still only contributing about 80 billion. So it's like it took 12 years and we still aren't able to do something like that. So I would love to see some more near-term goals, some more accountability as well, some more tracking for these countries, but also a lot more cooperation between countries. And it kind of goes back to what I said earlier, because, a lot of people are not in the room that needs where the conversations happen. And it's because a lot of underrepresented populations, underrepresented countries just weren't at COP26, or they're not able to get into these climate conversations. So, getting the right people in those rooms on the government level, but also showing that through, private investment into developing countries is what I'd like to see in the future as well.
Yeah, I mean, less about the outcomes of COP, but I think just even the way people are thinking about COP and talking about it is positive in itself. And if it's even just a focal point, then it has kind of served some kind of beneficial purpose as well. So, I think it was said earlier on that, we're no longer having this debate about whether climate change is real or not. Now it's about what do we do about it, which is, a sense of progress in a way. And, the fact that, COP is an important date on the calendar, for 180 countries is really positive in a sense. In terms of what comes out of it, I think there'll be lots of grand proclamations, And I think that can be useful as in a sense of identifying some of the opportunities as well. So for technologists, once these kind of statements are made, it can draw attention and innovation into an area, and hopefully, get people excited about possibly, doing something to help decarbonize electricity, to help decarbonize transport. People are making these big proclamations at such a high level stage. Maybe that inspires undergraduates, postgraduates, with an interest in this area to start taking on that problem. And the more people we have working in the space, the better.